And then bring your hands behind your head. You can actually interlace your fingers if you'd like, and bring your feet a little bit wider than usual so they're not super close. You have a little bit more stability. Great, so from here, the elbows stay just kind of naturally open. And we take a deep inhale to prepare. And now as we exhale, let's roll backwards into the ball, bringing your ribs together. And then inhale again, expanding. And then exhale, using that breath to exhale, reweave and come back. Good, so we'll inhale, prepare. Exhale, reweave the ribs. Inhale, expand. And then exhale back. Okay, let's do one more like this, nice and slow. So you're inhaling, expanding your rib cage, getting your breath. And right now, again, the elbows aren't really going anywhere. Exhale. Great. Inhale again. And then exhale back. All right, let's do a little bit more with the elbows now. So we're also going to change the breath pattern slightly. We're going to inhale, open up the chest, bring the elbows back, allowing them the whole chest to stretch open. And now we're going to exhale, squeeze back to the center, and bring your elbows kind of close to one another. So inhaling, opening up, and exhale. And feeling how each time your elbows allow themselves to get a little bit wider. And how your chest, like a wave, kind of finds a little bit more space. And we find that space between the ribs to get wider as we inhale, and then reconnect to the center on our exhale. 2 more. And remember, only going as far back as feels comfortably supportive. We want to allow for a bit more space, but not to overdo it at any point. All right, so let's keep that grounded feeling of both feet on the floor. Let's bring this left arm all the way up and slowly twist to the right. It's almost like you're rolling the shoulder blades into the ball a little bit, trying to tap to your right knee, and then slowly roll back to the center, giving your left arm a nice circle and coming right back. So the right elbow stays open. We inhale, roll on the ball, twisting, keeping our feet onto the mat. And then exhale, unfold, rolling back to the middle, left arm circles all the way around. Great. Inhaling, twisting to the right, staying on that one side. And then exhaling, coming on back. And feeling how the lift can still stay. It's just a gentle shift of weight from left to right, but only in the upper half, right? If you actually observe your hips, you'll notice that your hips aren't going anywhere. You're really allowing for that space to happen just in the waist area through the belly button. And then your last one here. Cool, let's bring the left hand behind your head. Right arm comes all the way up by your ears. Now remember, I'm not asking you to bring your arm all the way back, right? Like by your ear is like a nice positioning. If you feel like it's too far, you can always bring it up a little bit higher. If it can go back a little bit more, that's also fine. So we roll again, slightly shifting our weight, bringing ourselves onto that left shoulder, or rather left shoulder blade. And then exhale, coming back to the center and bringing that right arm all the way around for a ride of circle and release. And to feel how we can push into the ball as a sense of support, but also a sense of lift. And that sometimes, right, like the pushing down also facilitates a nice lifting feeling as we inhale, twisting, stretching out the sides, and then returning on back. Okay, let's do 3 more here. And taking our time with this full long breath as we inhale, shift our weight, reaching to the outside of the left. And then exhale for the next 2. And maintaining that sense of like equilibrium within the body. So you know that even if there's twisting, it's just about shifting the energy and the weight. It's not not about letting go completely. Great, hands come all the way back. One last open as we inhale. And this time as we exhale up, let's release the arms and bring the right knee into the center. So we're gonna use the ball again as a nice little open as we inhale. And now as we exhale, we lengthen upwards, release the hands and lengthen the left knee into the middle. Now we're keeping our feet again on the outside of the mat so that we have more stability and support, and we can really focus on just lifting enough. And trying to keep that quiet through the middle so that you notice you're staying within the lanes. We're not necessarily going beyond that middle lane for the upper body. And then the right leg and the left leg have their own lane that they stay in. Now, as we come on up, to make sure that we're still not melting too much down, meaning we're not trying to curl into the mat. I still want you to keep that feeling of lift. Good. Let's do one more on each side. Great. All the way back to the center. We're going to heel toe ourselves in towards the middle and then reach the right leg all the way out onto the mat. Great. Lengthening up, seeing if we can lift this ground the left foot a little bit more, ground the right foot, and see if you can lift up your hips just for a moment. Good. Staying here for a second, balancing, using the belly, and then finding your way all the way back down. Great. Right foot comes in, left foot goes long. So you're grounding into the right foot. You're essentially lifting your hips up just a little bit, staying nice and balanced if we can. If we're wobbling, that's totally fine too. Inhaling again, and then exhale back. Great. Both feet come on the floor. Take a nice deep inhale here, gazing at your belly, grab underneath your knees, and then walk yourself up slowly for 3, 2, and 1. Cool. Let's come over onto the left side, where the left hip is going to be here. The left arm goes down by your side, so we have this like nice triangular shape, and we use the ball here. So the right elbow starts at your right hip, and we slowly roll into the ball, lengthening out the right leg, dropping the left elbow just a little bit, and coming on back. Now, if at any point you feel like you need to adjust, like you want more space in order to be able to drop the elbow all the way, please do that. And remember that feeling, we can always gaze down at the floor if we need to. And you also don't have to touch the elbow down all the way. We're just feeling that side stretch and reach and returning on back. Okay, 2 more. And your last one here. Great, let's come all the way back to the center, putting our hands into a nice 90-degree angle. And keeping this feeling of diagonal. So we're reaching this right leg all the way behind, and you're rolling this time all the way into the ball so that your upper body faces downwards. And then as we come back, we bring the elbow close and we stretch that leg all the way in front of us. So you're allowing a forward facing feeling and then rotating downwards, rolling the ball along your arm, and then engaging the belly, knee comes in, elbow goes back, and we stretch out the leg. And we try and keep that leg at the top within that range of motion and within that height of just being able to move forward and backwards. So we're not actually lifting at any point, we're just extending. Great, and we have 2 more to go for that inhaling feeling of space. And using again that feeling of side body lift as we bring the leg in front of us for our last time here. Great, and now we're extending the bottom leg all the way out, and we slowly bring this top leg behind us, making a nice tap. And pushing still into the ball as you exhale back to the front. Now remember, you can always gaze down at the floor. If you don't like the feeling of this ball underneath your hand, you can always put your hand directly on the mat. And you're making a rainbow shape, but you're only allowing your body to move as much as it can support itself, right? If you notice that you're wobbling or that you want to lean forward or you need to lean forward, then you're making it a little bit too big. So just be mindful of where your rainbow begins and ends for the next two. Using that full breath to exhale it back. And your last one here. Super. Back to the center and then slowly push yourself up on 3, 2, 1. Cool. Let's go straight away to the other side. So starting here with don't roll. So yeah, your right hip is on the floor. You reach into your right hand and kind of stack those feet. And again, I kind of suggest to start a little bit smaller and then see how you feel as we go. Yeah. Elbow starts nice and long. And then we slowly bend the elbow, reaching and bending, and then finding our way back. So for example, I'm too close to my body, so I definitely need to lengthen out, but see how it feels as you roll and reach. And then return back. Now this left leg here can either completely stay lifted the whole time, like you keep the top knee hovering above the bottom knee, or you can close your knees in between if you feel like that's better for you. And just start to incorporate that feeling of twist. So as you rotate, you roll and reach. And the twist again is as much or as little as you need it to be for the next 3. Just controlling that feeling of lowering the right elbow down to the floor and extending that left arm all the way out while still keeping that spinal length, right? We're not trying to curl anything here. We're trying to lengthen and twist. Cool, your last one. Great. And then finding your way back down, still keeping that positioning here. And feeling again that space of how it is. And slowly extending that leg all the way out as you gently twist. And come back to the center, pushing into the ball. Shoulder stays down as you stretch it out. Now even here, to notice where your twist is comfortably moving from, meaning the spine gets to unfold, but still the feeling of lifting from the side body, knowing that your hips are stacked, but not actually holding on to tension. And really feeling how you are like hugging yourself and working from the inside out. So we inhale, slowly stretch, and then exhale, find our way back, elbow taps. Okay, we've got 3 more. And to feel how maybe even the ball rolls up a little bit higher each time because you're allowing the body to twist a little bit more. Maybe you need to adjust the ball, whatever works. And your last reach here. Cool, so let's stretch out the bottom leg for some more support, pushing down into the ball here, and then reaching out. Now remember, you're only finding that range of motion that works for you. As we begin here for our inhale, open, and then exhale, return. Now always look down at the floor if we need to, as we allow that left leg to find its range of motion. And keeping the chest open, bending and twisting for the next 3. 2. And feeling how that control from the middle is still more intense than it looks, while maintaining that sense of balance, or at least in my opinion. Sometimes these small moves seem like they're easier than they are. All right, let's find our way back again into a nice lifted position. All right, yeah, let's bring the ball in between the thighs for me here and bring ourselves onto a forearmed rest. So remember, we open up the chest here, right? This is part of the process of being here. We're not sitting down, we have that feeling, but we're not arching, right? We slowly squeeze the ball, keep the insides of your feet together, and then bring your feet into a tabletop position. We're squeezing the ball as we inhale, tap with our heels down towards the floor. And then exhale, find your way back to the middle and twist the knees only towards the right. Great, so let's try that again. Inhale, squeeze as we tap the heels down towards the floor, touching or not. Exhaling back into the center and then over to the left. So we're trying to do like a lower feeling here and then a gentle twist to one side. So using that feeling of pushing away with the belly and pushing away with the hands. So if at any point you feel like, actually I'm pretty controlled here and I wanted to add another layer into the mix, we can also release a hand, which I'll show you in a second. But remember to take it slow enough where you notice where your sense of space is. So as you come to the right, you can lift up your left arm and then find your way back. Inhaling, squeezing, tapping. As you go to the left, you bring up your right arm simultaneously. So it's just an extra little bit. It does mean that there's a little bit of an extra sense of movement, and maybe your hips also go a little bit higher and your knees drop a little bit more. But we're still then balancing on one arm, so choose if it feels good or not. You've got one more on each side. Great. Inhale, squeezing and tapping. And then exhale, reach. Great. Finding your way back to the center, pushing your hands all the way up on 3, 2, and 1. Opening up your knees, please, and then just folding forward, rolling the ball all the way through your legs. Inhaling here, wiggle, wiggle, and then exhaling, restacking for me on 3, 2, and 1. Great, let's bring the ball underneath the right foot and grab onto your knees, and let's roll down all the way until our shoulder blades hit the floor. And we bring our hands behind our head, not interlacing. Elbows are nice and wide, and the right foot stays on the floor as the left knee comes into a tabletop for me here. Great, we're rolling that right leg all the way out for me. And then slowly finding our way back, stretching out the left. So keeping this slow and steady sense of reach. As we extend the right leg out, knee comes in, and then reach all the way with the left. And I also want you to be playful with the ball, meaning that there's a sense of kick, and you can allow your full range of motion with your toes. You don't have to feel like the ball's gonna run away. You can allow for even just the biggest toe of yours on the right side to stay connected to the ball. And we have a kicking feeling through the heel as we exhale, point and reach for the next 2. And then 1. And then slowly switching your feet, keeping your head, neck, and shoulders lifted if you can. If not, take them down for a break. And we slowly start to again kick through the left. And now allow the right leg to venture out further away from us. As you find that playful feeling through the heel on the left, and then you use that range of motion to come all the way off the ball. Now, if you feel like you want to just stop, for example, in the middle and just keep your feet completely on the ball, you may do that as well. But just kind of play around and see where your sense of reach starts and begins as your elbows continue to float open. And we feel that most of our spine is on the floor. And what I say most is that sometimes there is a little bit of space in your lower back, and that's not necessarily bad as long as your pelvis stays neutral, so you're not tucking or arching. But we're still trying to feel that melted feeling downwards for the next 2. And then your space of kick on your inhale and exhale, reach. Great, slowly bringing both feet onto the ball for me. Let's melt our spines down for 3, 2, and 1. Great, take a nice deep inhale, bringing your hands down by your side. And let's try and lift. So I know that we've done it before, but let's give it another try. We're in playful challenge mode, right? So hands stay down, chest is open. Make sure that your feet are not too far away. Like I would rather them almost a little bit closer. You ground into the ball with the entirety of your foot, not just your heel. Push into the ball and then slowly float your hips up. Now remember, if at any point you get a weird cramp in your calves or your hamstrings, feel free to melt yourself down and take your feet off. Great, we're gonna stay here for a nice deep inhale. Bringing the left arm up if you feel comfortable doing so, and then exhale, release, reweave the ribs, push the hand out on the left. And then finding a sense of balance as you inhale, expand the rib cage, float the right arm up. And then exhale, push it down. Great. And just alternating hands here for me. And noticing again that your legs are working, but that you're still focusing way more on your belly to kind of make this hold a little bit more efficient. So you're not just taxing your legs or overworking them, but you're really feeling that full space between pushing into the mat with your hands and then exhale, pushing back. Great. And your last reach here with the right, and then all the way back. Super. Take a nice deep inhale, and then slowly and steadily melt your spine down one vertebrae at a time on 3, 2, and 1. Great. Take another deep inhale, wiggle your legs out, opening up your knees. And then exhale, bring your knees back towards the center, keeping them in a slight V, pushing all the way back down into the mat and holding. Great. From here, we bring the bum down towards the floor, lowering, and then exhale, reach on up. Now remember, the range of motion does not have to be big. It's just enough to notice that you are shifting from an upward feeling to a downward feeling. And that you still expand the ribcage with the breath, and then exhale, reweave and lift. As we move slowly and steadily for the next 3. And keeping that sense of balance and length, even if we're lengthening out just from a ball, that you notice you're not trying to contract yourself or make yourself smaller, but you're still feeling that sense all the way up to your fingertips. And your last one here. Great, and then we melt ourselves down one vertebrae at a time on 3, 2, and 1. Great, bring your knees up into your center. And take a nice deep inhale here. And then let's slowly put the soles of your feet back down on the floor and grab the ball in between your hands for me. As you lengthen the legs all the way out, reaching the arms up by your ears. Inhaling, slowly lifting with the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, head, neck, and shoulders follow, and we slide ourselves up. Wanted to say like slink ourselves up. All right, so we're in our nice tall position here. You're bringing your right foot into a nice bent position. The left knee comes onto the floor so that you really are nice and tall. Okay, we're twisting all the way to the right, so you have a T shape here, and then the ball comes down. We roll into the ball on the right, bringing our left hand behind us, and then we exhale, find our way back. So remember, this now is a feeling of I'm grounding through the center, gently twisting to the right, and noticing how your whole left side body has to lift and lengthen. Good, 2 more. Now, if you feel like you don't like this left knee on the floor, you can always put the left foot next to the right. I just feel like you have a little bit more support here. Because now as we come down, I want you to kick the right foot all the way out and then return back to the center. So we're incorporating like a reach and a kick and then an exhale return. Okay. And we have another 3 to go. And remember, as the ball rolls, it's not that your palm necessarily stays on the floor the whole time. It's also not like you're trying to push too much into the ball. So yes, you're allowing the ball to roll you, but you still keep the feeling of lifting up rather than melting down, if that makes sense. And your last one here. Cool. Take the ball, lift it on up, come all the way back to the center. Let's bring both feet into the middle. Grabbing the ball in between both hands. We're squeezing as we roll down all the way to the tips of your shoulder blades. Take a nice deep breath. Bring the arms up by your ears. And then exhale, squeeze the ball, come right back up and hold. Good, 2 more times. Inhale, squeeze. Exhale, roll back. Good, tips of your shoulder blades hit. Arms come all the way up by your ears. And then squeeze that ball as you slowly race back. Last time here. Inhaling, squeeze. Exhale, articulate all the way through your vertebrae, gazing downwards, floating your arms up as your shoulder blades hit the floor. And then we inhale, squeeze that ball, and then exhale, find our way all the way back up. Cool. So this time, the right leg comes underneath. Actually, maybe I'll change directions for you. All right, so the right leg comes underneath. The ball stays in your left hand. You come out to a T, and then we twist. Cool. The ball comes down all the way here. And then we're lengthening all the way, bringing our arm behind our head, and then returning. So that feeling here still is about twisting and reaching, keeping both hips as much on the floor as we can. And remember, if you feel like your ball ever gets far away from you, feel free to just bring it back into the center, or a little bit more underneath your palm for the next 2. And that left knee ideally still stays upward facing for 1. Cool, here we go. So we lean, kick that left leg in front of us as we roll, and then exhale, reach back up. Now the reach back up just means that we're lengthening at our side diagonal, but we're not necessarily forward facing. And we have another 3. And continually extending all the way into the ball as we use the side body to lift for 2. And expanding that rib sensation outwards and backwards for 1. Great, lifting up the ball, finding our way back into the center. Both heels go down. Squeezing the ball, inhale. And let's exhale, curl down 1 vertebrae at a time until your shoulder blades hit the floor, slowly bringing your arms up by your ears as you inhale. And then exhale, squeeze and restack. Get 2 more. Inhale, prepare and squeeze. Keep the squeeze as we exhale, slowly lower down. Shoulder blades hit, arms come up. Inhale, squeeze, reaching the arms in front of you. Exhale, engage the belly and restack. And then your last time, inhaling, prepare as you squeeze. And then use that exhale to slowly roll down, finding the tips of your shoulder blades. Arms come behind you as you inhale. And then exhale, restack on 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so let's take our positioning here onto all 4s, if that's okay. All right. And what's going to happen is we're keeping the ball underneath the right arm. And remember, if it feels awkward at any point, you just let me know. You can always, or rather, you don't have to let me know. You can just put your hand directly on the floor. Okay. So we're taking the ball. We're rolling that ball all the way out in front of us, lengthening up that left foot, and then coming back into the center for a moment and holding. So for the moment, I just want us to focus on the full feeling of reaching and returning. Good. And we're going to start to add a lift in the next 3. So that sense of push and lengthen out and engaging the belly, re-tapping the toes for 2. And finding your way back for 1. Great, let's tuck the right toes now. Inhaling, slowly floating on up. And as we come back, we push into the ball and slowly lift just the right knee. Inhaling, rolling out. And then exhaling, pushing into the ball, right knee comes up. Now remember, it's not a huge range of motion, but it's still enough that you notice you have to push into the ball, lift the belly. And if you feel like the ball doesn't feel good underneath your hands, just take your hands off of the ball for the lift and just put it next to it onto the mat. Great, your last one here. And slowly lifting. Awesome. Let's come back down into a position where our forehead is going to be melting on the mat, melting on the ball. So if you feel like you don't like that feeling, you can just put your head directly on the floor, but I think it's nice to sometimes have a little bit of support. Your hands go on the outer sides of the ball, so you're squeezing, keeping the arms still nice and active. Your right toes are nice and tucked, for some extra support. And we lift that left leg all the way up. Actually, you know what? Let's untuck the toes. So again, we're bringing that left knee behind the right, still encompassing this pretzel feeling, and then opening up the left leg to the side. Now here, I want us to keep both hips downward facing. And of course, if you feel that you need the tuck of the toes for support, by all means, go for it. As you keep the left knee going to the outside of the right and then slowly opening to the left without shifting much of your hips. Great, for the next 3. Expanding, pushing into the ball, releasing your neck tension for 2. And then your last one, 1. Great, finding your way back to the center, and then using the ball just to shift your weight all the way back for a moment. Stretching for 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let's go straight away onto the other side. So now we take the ball underneath our left hand. The left toes can be untucked for the moment, and the right leg is long. And we keep both shoulders square, meaning one shoulder is not going anywhere higher or lower than the other. And we feel that we can push and lift and then extend back. Good, for the next 3. And maintaining that elbow reach backwards so that we're not going out with the elbows, but we're still pushing the elbows back, or at least intentionally moving the elbows in a backward direction. And your last roll here. Great, let's tuck those left toes for me now. So inhaling, reaching. As you put the right foot down, you ground into the ball, lift the left knee up. Great, we inhale, roll and reach. Exhale, push into the ball as your left knee comes up. Good, 3 more to go. And fully maintaining that sense of stability all the way out through your toes, still keeping the neck nice and long as we find the feeling of reach and return. Good, your last one here. Super, and let's find our way again back down onto the floor, bringing your hands on the outside of the ball. Forehead resting on the ball. Now remember, when we're in this position, our knees and our hips are still in like a nice aligned position. So if you feel like you're too far forward or too far back, please adjust as accordingly as possible. And here you can tuck or untuck those left toes depending on how you feel. And we're slowly bringing the right knee to the outside of the left. And then exhale, opening. Now remember, this open feeling happens through the middle more than anything, so that you can sense where the right knee comes towards the outside of the left. And then exhale, lift and stretch. Great. And we have another 4. And giving the ball an extra little squeeze if you can, to just keep those arms activated. And maintaining that sense of quiet through the belly, except for the breath. And as that right leg extends out to the side, you notice how much your left side needs to work to support. Great, your last one here. And then finding your way all the way back into the middle, using the ball and just, excuse me, stretching and rolling. Awesome. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let's come over onto the side again, but this time we're gonna roll down a little bit. No, we'll keep the ball here. I kind of like it at the moment. Alrighty, so bringing your heels off of the floor, the ball is gonna stay in front of you, right elbow kind of grounding for the moment onto your right hip. Good, so you're pushing into the ball as you open up your right knee, and then release the ball as your right knee closes. So think about your right elbow is no longer resting on your right hip, but you're using that full range of motion of your arm to slowly return and lift. So you almost notice that you push down as your knee opens, and then we return on the way back. Great, we've got 2 more to go here. And then that full push. Great, let's bring both feet down. Let's bring that the right foot up towards the ceiling. And you push down into the floor. As you open the knee, tap the toes down, but retain your positioning, meaning you're not going anywhere. So you're allowing the hip in the hip socket to slowly open and lower. So we inhale, tap. Exhale, push down, open up, and release. Now there are a few different shapes happening. So first we open, and then once you've opened, I want you to allow for that little lower through the side. So it's a small range of motion here at the top, but you're still noticing how you can lower just a bit for the next 3. Slowly pushing down onto the ball as you open up that right hip and tap down for 2. And then your last one here. Great, bringing your knees back towards each other, and then lifting that bottom leg off one more time as you slowly lift this right arm all the way up towards the ceiling. Great. Slowly and steadily pushing the right arm down as the right leg, floats up to a diagonal, and then we return it back. Now, if at any point you feel like your left knee needs to go back down on the floor, you can do that. So you're pushing down as the right leg floats up to the diagonal, and then return it back. So it's kind of working at an angle here, and you're allowing the angle to be comfortably holding, comfortably active as you squeeze the ball and reach all the way down. Good. For the next two. And then on our last one here, let's hold, extending the ball all the way in towards the floor, pushing down, and we make mini lifts. Now the lifts are still at a diagonal. You're pushing in as you reach. If you feel like you need to bring your head, neck, and shoulders down because that's more comfortable, you may do that as well. For the next 5, keep bringing the breath into the movement for 4. Slowly pushing for 3, 2, and 1. Great. All the way back to the center. Cool. Let's come over into the middle for a moment, and then roll straight away onto the other side. And finding our nice lengthened feeling onto the right side as the left elbow grounds for a moment here. Great. So both feet come off of the floor, and we notice how we can push the knee up as we push the ball down, and then exhale, return. So just a small feeling of how body parts can work and optimize together. And how that feeling of pushing inside, reaching, and then exhaling all the way back. And noticing that the shoulder on the left doesn't creep up, and how the fingertips still continually expand. It's almost like the insides of your feet are staying together because they really do like each other. For the next 2. And your last one here. Great, let's bring both feet back down on the floor. And then you lift up your left foot. And we slowly push the ball down as we open up the left knee and lower the left toes just a little bit, and then slowly return. Now, if this feels awkward for your hip or it's a little bit too tight, you may always make the range of motion smaller. We are trying to add a little bit of a sense of control and mobility through the left hip socket, but doing it in a sense that it feels supportive, right? So just listen to your bodies and what is okay, what's too much, what's too little. We have another 3. And feeling how you can actually use that ball really to your advantage. Like it's not just there for no reason. There's got a sense of purpose and push, and then return back. Good. Your last reach here. All right, let's bring those feet all the way back up, and then reaching the arm all the way nice and long. So you're stretching the left leg at the diagonal. Arm comes all the way in front of you, and then exhale, return it. And remember, you can always put your head, neck, and shoulders down here too. Anytime your head is lifted, if it feels like it's too much for your neck, just bring your head, neck, and shoulders back down to the floor. Excuse me. As we continue to slowly tap and reach. Now, the ball in the hand at this moment is more of just like a sense of, right, I'm focusing on different body parts. You can also give the ball a little bit of squeeze if it feels good. But it's allowing your arms to just have a different sense of hold and space and weight. Great, you've got 2 more. And our last time here, we're pushing down into the ball, opening the palms of your hand, fingertips releasing, and then we slowly lift. Now remember the small little lifts. Inhaling here is still pushing down into the ball as we lift for 5. Continue to slowly move for 4, keeping that quiet in between for 3, but knowing this is more than just a leg lift for 2, and then 1. Great, all the way back to the center. Alrighty, let's roll onto the backs for our last little bit. Bring the knees into the center. The ball can go on top of the knees, and you can either melt your head, neck, and shoulders down for a moment, bringing your knees a little bit closer towards you. or slowly start to lift your head, neck, and shoulders off the mat. Right, and from here we're adding a nice little sense of stretchies. So we bring the right leg all the way up and then switch behind the left. Now remember, you can always keep your head, neck, and shoulders up or down. You can support your head and forget about the ball if that's better. But we've got another 3. Inhale, 2. Last full reach. And 1. Great, all the way back to the center. Take a deep breath. And then slowly rock yourself up. All right, let's put the ball to the side. Thank you so much, ball. And our last little stretch here for me. So bringing the feet to the outside of your mat, your arms are open, your fingertips are forward facing, and your chest is wide. Good. You're dropping your let's try that again. You're dropping your knees to the right, your left hip comes all the way up, and you slowly bring this left arm up over your shoulder, and then return yourself back to the center. If this feels awkward with your hands, you may of course go to the side with your fingertips as well. So you're slowly bringing your knees to the left, reaching your right arm up and over, and then slowly twisting. So the goal here for me is to still have a sense of like twisting a little bit through the wrist to stretch, but only if it feels good, and then returning back. Good, one more like this. Cool, now as we twist, we lengthen up the left leg and the left arm, feeling that sense of openness through the shoulders, and then returning back. And then over to the other side. Remember, checking in how your wrists feel. So our wrists do a lot of things during the day. So sometimes just to hold ourselves in a different position with the wrist feels awkward, but not necessarily bad. So just be aware of what that is for you right now. Great, all the way back. All right, last bit here, slowly finding our way all the way here. Left leg comes down, and then give yourself an extra little twist. Really trying to stretch out your wrist through the shoulder blades. Remember, you can always bring your fingertips forward facing if that feels better. And then you find your way back to the middle and slowly return. And then inhaling over to the left, reaching nice and long, slowly twisting as your foot taps the floor, and you continue to stretch a little bit more through the shoulder and the wrist. And then you slowly find your way back to the center. Great, hands come underneath your knees, bringing your feet back into a tabletop position. Open up your chest, and then slowly stretch for me here on 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great, feet go on the floor. Shift your weight all the way forward. Hang nice and long, bringing your feet to the outer edges of your mats, and bending one knee and then the other. Allowing your body to slowly float from one side to the other. And here is where we say yes to everything that fits our vision of what we'd like our life to be, and we actively say no to everything else. And we take another inhale, and then slowly restack our spines on 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.